Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. In this video we're going to be taking a first look at Elle, who is a promo character. We'll just check out what she looks like. At first I instantly thought she looks like one of those like attack dogs sort of practice dummies where someone's dressed up in a mega suit. She's got the arm thing on for the attack dog. I guess she's doing it for the walkers to just bait them into biting her arm and then just stabbing them in the face. But that's the first thought I got of Elle. If you play through the roadmap, you will see that randomly Telltale characters appear, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure what that's about, whether it fits in with anything or if it's just they just did that for the sake of it. I'm not really sure. We'll look at the character stats: 1,622 attack, 1,514 defense, and 2,272 HP. Her trait is fast and her role is seen as a tank. Now, her defense is very low for a tank. Very low indeed. It is her lowest stat. And if we look at the rest of her kit, she doesn't really need attack. We've seen a lot of promo characters that don't really need an attack stat, where you don't need to increase it because she doesn't have any attack percentage on her rush. It's called Deceptive Mockery, and it is a 76 AP cost rush. Remove focus from up to 3 enemies. Those enemies get taunt for 2 turns. This character gets elusive for 2 turns. Now this rush doesn't seem that powerful to me. Obviously, if the enemy that she's attacking doesn't have focus, that is useless. It doesn't do anything at that point, so it's a very powerful thing that is reliant on the enemy actually having focus. It does, however, make sure that her taunt does hit characters. If they have got focus, it just cleanses that focus to make sure her taunt hits them, but they can still resist it, so it doesn't seem like that much of a powerful adrenaline rush. This character gets elusive for 2 turns as well. If that taunt does go off, obviously no AP gain for those characters attacking. And those characters attacking are going to proc her new specialist skill, which we'll get into a little bit later. But as a rush in itself doesn't seem super strong, but there is a lot of control there. If it does hit a taunt, obviously a 2-turn taunt is pretty nice. And I think it's the first one that does 3 for 2 turns as a rush. We have got 2 for 2 turns. I think we have got 1 for 3 turns somewhere. I'm not sure. Princess has got a 2-turn, I think, or a 2 for 2. I'm not really sure, or 3 for 1. There's so many different taunts now, and that's another thing, because there's so many taunt characters on defense teams. A lot of people are running taunt resist. So we have Guardian 2 Rick, and we've got Douglas, who are quite widely available. And because they're so widely available, a lot of people are running taunt resist just to stop them from going off and stop them from being an issue. Now we look at her active skill, and it is Pain Split and Heal. It has an initial cooldown of 1, so she can pop this off turn 1. But it is Pain Split, and generally it's seen as not a good thing. This character and one teammate get Pain Split and regain 25% of their max HP for 3 turns. Mainly it's not seen as a good thing is because you're going to gear out Elle to be really tanky. The other character it goes on is the person with the highest HP, and it doesn't necessarily mean they've got a lot of defense. And the amount of damage taken on Pain Split that is split is based on who is attacked. And sometimes you can just wreck the secondary character and destroy a tank in the process, because the defense of the tank does not negate any of the incoming damage at that point. So that's always the downside of Pain Split. I guess that's a good thing. It's got a downside, it's got an upside, but the downside is seen as more of a terrible thing than a good thing, in terms of just like, oh well, it's sort of like balanced. Pain Split is generally not liked. I've only ever seen it used well on one character, and that's Mercer, and that's just because he also buffs himself and the teammate for 100% defense or 150% defense. So no matter who takes the damage, they're going to not take that much damage. That's the only time I've ever seen it used well. This Pain Split, the only reason it's good is because it can be popped off turn 1 and just be frustrating, because it's mainly going to deal with basic attacks, then rushes for the first couple of turns, and that can be pretty useful, I guess. Now she has got a brand new specialist skill called Bide, and I'll just read through it. This character stores the damage it takes from attacks, active abilities, and rushes. After reaching 2,000 stored damage, or if the defend action is used, deal 150% of the stored damage to one enemy immediately. Stored damage is reset to 0 after use. Bide does not trigger if this character is killed. Now I did test this out on the roadmap, and it does seem bugged at the moment because it says deal 150% of the stored damage to one enemy immediately. It was dealing it to everybody. It does look like it's negated damage too. So it's not dealing 3,000 pure damage, it is 3,000 attack damage, and then their defense negates a percentage. Like, that's how defense works. It negates a certain percentage of incoming damage. So it's just like quite a powerful basic attack. If it was pure damage, it would be extremely overpowered. Obviously, you could just go around one-shotting people. Basically, main damage for 3,000 would be incredibly overpowered. But at the moment, like I said, it seems bugged. It does it to everybody. I wouldn't actually even say that doing it to everybody is overpowered in the case, because if it gets negated, that seems fairly balanced. It's only a one basic attack. On an attack team, it doesn't do it automatically. You have to actually defend for it to go off. Even if you max out, it does say after reaching 2,000 stored damage, it does it straight away, but you actually have to defend to do it on an attack team regardless. You can just make it go off early if you so wish. On a defense team, I guess once it hits 2,000, the character will automatically do that as a priority, but just know it does make your character defend. It is a forced defend. It doesn't just do it and then you can still do a basic attack to gain AP. You don't get that turn and you do a little bit of damage. It's not looking great, if I'm honest, as a specialist skill. I think it should probably keep the damage to all, though, rather than it going to 1. Because if it's 1, you can see how much damage it was doing, like 650. And that's off of roadmap characters that only have like 1,800 defense. So if it comes up against 3,500 defense characters, it's not really going to hit that hard. You know, there are characters that have got 5,500 attack after getting weapon buffs, after getting leader buffs. My Michelle has over 5,000 attack. So it isn't really that good. She doesn't need attack stat like said before, so this is her getting a free basic attack in now and again, but basic attacks, you gain AP when you do basic attacks. And she still do damage on just her basic attacks to gain AP, even though she hasn't got that much of attack stat. Bide does seem strange. Maybe it needs to be sort of fixed, because it does seem a bit off on that roadmap right now, but at the moment, not really sold on it, if I'm honest. Now, she has got an attached weapon, and it has got 30% defense base, which is good because she has got very low defense, so she needs that defense. The second slot is obviously the upgrade slot. You can put in here whatever you want. You can go full tank and just give her HP. You can give her AP on attack. You can just sort of balance her out however you wish. Now, the third slot is an upgraded version of the Holly special. If you remember, Holly has a chance to gain bonus HP when attacked. Exactly the same here with Elle. It's a 50% chance, though. I think the one that Holly has is the normal, just, I think it says better chance, which is sort of seen as 35% chance. But this is giving a pure percentage, saying 50% chance, which is good. I'm never really sold on the bonus HP, just because you can bleed through it, you can burn through it, and it's almost useless. And I don't know, for me, it's still, if I see a Holly with this on the tier 3, I generally attack it just to gain AP. Now, if Elle, it would be slightly different, because you'd be charging up her Bide, but as we've seen, Bide doesn't seem to be that great. Overall, this character has got a lot going on, just like every single promo. Like, a lot going on with the rush, brand new specialist skill, active skill going off really early, a weapon, but nothing really is that amazing considering it is a promo. It's like just so much averageness in every area. It's like they haven't fully thought out. I've always advocated when it comes to promos not to have so much going on, just to have one area that's really good, and that's the selling point of a promo. But this character doesn't have one area that's really that good. I mean, maybe the rush, someone could be seeing the rush and say, you know, that would really work on my defense team. The only real big selling point of Elle, and this is actually a pretty good thing, is she doesn't rely on anyone else. Nothing in her kits relies on other people. She can just be geared out really tanky and just put in a defense team and just sit there and absolutely fine. You know, she reminds me a little bit of Raven in that case. I would say Raven is a bit of a better character, however, just because of the active skill of Raven is really nice. If you did pull this character, luckily on like your Survivor Club pull or something like that, you could max her out and just have her sat in pretty much any team, even without getting leader bonus, and she would actually be okay. She'd just do a job. And she could be fairly frustrating, but she's not really going to be that much of a problem. She seems to be sort of like a weaker version of Mercer, if I'm honest. And Mercer is, I mean, it really depends on the team you attack him with, but Mercer is not like that amazing a character. You're generally going to take him down. It just might take a little bit of time. So this is Elle. Do tell me what you think about her. What do you think about her rush? Her new specialist skill? Have you tried her out in the roadmap? But that's it in my video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.